What could be classier or easier than serving braised beef bourguignon when you host your next soiree? With this dish, you're free to enjoy your guests as dinner slowly simmers in the kitchen. Today, Joyce Parslow with Canadian Beef will be showing us how to prepare this delicious meal. Let's get cooking. This is Daily Web TV. We're ready to get cooking with beef. Joyce, what exactly is beef bourguignon?
Well, beef bourguignon may sound fussy, but it's a classic, simple French beef stew. So we're going to start off. Could you turn the heat to medium-high?
I can do that.
We're going to saute some diced bacon.
And we don't want it to get too crispy, so we've got it nice and thick and chunky, and we're just going to saute that to get some of the fat out of it, to brown the other vegetables and to brown the beef.
Oh, it smells good already.
Now the nice thing about beef bourguignon or other beef stews is you can make them ahead of time. And beef stew actually tastes better when it's made the day before. Okay, now that the bacon's nice and golden brown, we're just going to take that out of the pan and set it aside. And we want to leave the bacon fat that's in there though, because that's what we're going to use to saute and flavor the onions and mushrooms and brown the beef.
Smells good.
Well, we want the mushrooms and the onions to have some good presence in the stew when it's finished.
So we cut the onions lengthwise to make the wedges.
We don't cut them across, because if you cut onions crosswise, they tend to sort of melt into the background. So now we're going to saute the onions in that same bacon fat. And we're going to add the mushrooms in here too. We're just going to saute them for about 5-10 minutes until they're nice and golden brown.
And will these cook some more later?
We put them in after the meat has gotten nice and meltingly tender. We add these in the last 30 minutes of cooking.
Joyce, is it time to bring in the beef?
It certainly is. And we've got Canadian beef cubes cut from blade steak. You could use a blade roast as well. They're evenly cut so that they cook all about the same time. And you could also use short rib if you wanted. Now I'm going to pat the meat dry because we want to make sure it's nice and dry so we get some good browning. And then we're going to season it just with some kosher salt and some freshly ground pepper. Okay, so we're going to brown the beef, but we don't dump all the beef in the pan at one time because we want it to brown and not steam. And if you overcrowd your pan, you'll get too much moisture releasing and you'll end up steaming the beef instead of browning it.
Why is it important to brown the meat?
Oh, you want to brown your vegetables and your meat whenever you're making a stew because it gives a beautiful golden color to the stew and it adds very rich flavor to the stew as well. You have to get it browned at least on the two sides. So just flip it around. It'll release from the pan when it's seared enough on the one side. There you go. It goes quite quickly.
Okay, I think we're ready to remove this. Now, is it important to use a good heavy-bodied pot like this?
I like to use a big Dutch oven or a nice roaster like this one, a Le Creuset roaster, because they hold the heat really well so you get a nice even cook. And for braising, it's very important when you do a stew to have a good tight-fitting lid as well. Next, I'm going to just sprinkle some of the flour. There's 3 tablespoons of flour that we're going to work in here.
And what does the flour actually do in this recipe?
The flour is what's going to thicken the sauce in the stew.
So it just gives it a little rich consistency.
Gives it a nice body, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to deglaze the pan. We're just going to pour in about half a cup of wine. We need about 1.5 cups in total, so just stir like crazy and get up all those brown bits in the bottom of the pan along the sides. And that's going to add great, rich, beefy flavor to our stew. And we're going to add 1.5 cups of low sodium beef broth as well. And then we're going to add our seasonings, thyme. And we're just going to add the garlic, 3 cloves of garlic. And pop in the bay leaf. And we'll just bring that to a boil before I add the meat.
So now in goes the beef. Now would we bring this back to a boil again or just
to a simmer?
Simmer, okay.
Now that we have a nice simmer going here, we're going to put on the lid and then place it in the oven for just an hour to an hour and a half till it's fork tender, till the meat's fork tender. Okay, Sheila, now it's time to get that beef bourguignon out of the oven. We're going to add in the mushrooms, the onion, and the bacon that we sauteed up earlier.
Now, how long will this cook?
We need to put it back in for another 30 minutes, and then it's going to be done to perfection.
Well, Joyce, this is the moment that I've been waiting for.
Bravo! We're going to have some beef bourguignon. I'm going to serve it on egg noodles for you.
Oh.
And you could use garlic mashed potatoes if you want it, or steamed rice is great too.
Joyce, this looks delicious.
Well, it's not only delicious, it's wholesome too. Beef's full of 14 essential nutrients for your good health, including iron. And iron's very important for concentration and learning.
Well, nutritious and delicious, fork tender. I'm definitely making this the next time I have company. Easy yet elegant. For more beef recipes, please go to beefinfo.org. Keeping you informed, I'm Sheila Clark, and you've been watching Daily Web TV.